Quick, graph y equals the opposite of 1 over the quantity of x plus 4 minus 2 by hand 2 different ways. This is part of the Family of Functions series. You will need graph paper, or you can download this PDF and print it. Press pause as needed anytime during this video. So this is the first way, and we need to decide what the parent function is and its shape. Parent function is y equals 1 over x, the reciprocal function, and its shape is a hyperbola. And this is the standard hyperbola, the parent function, with two asymptotes that are perpendicular to each other. We need to keep thinking of that as we're doing this graph. Identify the parameters. Those are values in the expression that affect the graph. In this case, there are 3 parameters that affect the graph. We need to know how they affect the graph. So the minus 2 shifts each point down 2, so it affects the y values. The plus 4 is inside the parentheses, or the denominator, and those affect the x values, shifting each point to the left 4 units. The opposite sign takes the opposite of y values. So we suggest plotting the center of the hyperbola first, which is normally at the origin. But in this case, we have to move each point to the left 4, so it's going to be negative 4. And we move each point down 2, so negative 2. So the point negative 4 comma negative 2 is the center of our hyperbola. And we need to draw horizontal and vertical asymptotes through the center that are perpendicular. So one of them will be y equals negative 2. The other one will be x equals negative 4. From here, we'll do the reciprocal dance, which normally would be right 1, up 1. But in this case, it's going to be right 1, down 1, because we take the opposite of each y value. Next, it's right 2, up a half, but in this case, it'll be right 2, down a half, because, again, we're taking the opposite. And right a half, up 2 normally, but it's going to be right half, down 2. Going in the opposite new quadrant, so to speak, we would go normally left 1, down 1, but here we're going to go left 1, up 1, again, be taking the opposite of that down 1. Left 2, down a half becomes left 2, up a half. And left a half, down 2 becomes left a half, up 2. We can now connect the points into 2 branches of a hyperbola using the asymptotes as boundary lines. And here's our graph. We compare it to the parent function. And you can see it's been shifted and put in so-called different quadrants. Second way is using a table. Here is a table of 6 values normally in our reciprocal function. So that plus 4 affects the x values only. It shifts everything to the left 4, so we need to subtract 4 from each x value to get it to the left. And so 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. We're going to ask you to go ahead and pause and finish the x coordinates before we go on. So go ahead and press pause and resume. All right, finishing the x coordinates, subtracting 4 from each of them. 1 half minus 4 is like 1 half minus 8 halves, which is negative 7 halves. Negative a half minus 8 halves is like negative 9 halves, and so on. The other 2 parameters affect the y coordinates. And so by the order of operations, we take the opposite first, and then we subtract 2. That's the order of operations. So in this case, we'll take 1 half and take the opposite, which is negative a half, and subtract 2. And we show that here. That's negative a half. Think of minus 2 as minus 4 halves for a total of negative 5 halves. So plotting negative 2, negative 5 halves. Taking the opposite of 1 is negative 1, minus 2 is negative 3. So plotting negative 3, negative 3. The opposite of 2 is negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So plot that. And we encourage you to go ahead and find the next 3 points, plot them, and finish the graph. Press pause to do so and resume when you're ready. So the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2 minus 2 is 0. So negative 9 halves, comma 0, an x-intercept. Negative 1, take the opposite as 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1, negative 1. The opposite of negative a half is positive a half. Minus 4 halves is negative 3 halves. So negative 6 comma negative 3 halves. Draw the asymptotes. Kind of picture where the center would be and draw the asymptotes. Y equals negative 2 and x equals negative 4. Connect the points into a hyperbola using those boundary lines, those asymptotes. Compare it to the parent function. Now you try one. Graph y equals the opposite of 1 over the quantity x minus 5 plus 3. Use either method or both for the practice. Press pause to do this and resume when you're finished to check your answer. Here's your answer in green, and I use the table or show the table so that you can see how your points match up